What's up, y'all? I'm working on the Hemi today. I got some stuff coming in the mail. I've already got some of the other stuff. I'm getting one thing in particular today, but it's not going to go on the engine today. I'm going to wait till I get all the stuff I need for that. That'll be in a later video. Anyway, I'm going to put this at the beginning of another video, our starter showing, as you can probably tell already. Basically today, my goal is to get the heads off, both sides, the rockers off, the push rods put away neatly, the oil pump off, and the timing set off, and the camshaft out. Part of the MDS Elite kit is to get in there to change the camshaft out to a specific one. I'm going with the upgrade one as well. That's what's coming in today. You'll see that in a later video because I kind of want to clean up the block a little bit. Not too much, just enough to where it doesn't look like a dirty junkyard engine going to a truck that's already dirty. Kind of want to clean it up a little bit. Not too crazy, but enough to get all the dirt off of it. Anyway, I already pulled the timing cover off. I'm going to put all that at the end of this video. Obviously, shot it first. It's pretty easy. It's just a series of bolts on the front of it and the front of the water pump. They're all different sizes. You got to be careful where they go. What I did was I put all the bolts back where they belong, where they came out on the old water pump. I'm going to put a new one in there. It's cheap assurance because I got to get a new tensioner. And yeah, I'm also putting a colder thermostat in it. That way I can hopefully prolong these cylinder heads. I don't have to worry about the valve seats dropping out, which is also why I'm pulling these cylinder heads out, just to make sure those are okay. Just looking down the line of the cylinders, all the valves look like they're in the opposite. Well, all the valves look like they're how they're supposed to be. I won't know for sure till I pull these off though. Anyway, I think the first thing I'm gonna do is pull these rocker shafts out. I believe these are 10 mils, and pretty much you go back and forth. You loosen up in stages, like you crack them all loose. Like you crack this one loose and go to this one and come back that and that. And just kind of walk them off because these are under spring pressure. Depending on what valve springs you have, these stock ones aren't too bad. But if you have like 6-1 valve springs or upgrade valve springs, these could be under quite a bit of tension, especially if one of them is being pushed down. So you just kind of want to walk them off. Same thing with the exhaust side. A lot of people will go with an X pattern. I don't think that's really necessary because these are separate. They're not connected together. So I think as long as you go back and forth from this ends and work your way to the middle, you should be okay. Do what you want. So I'm going to take these off separately because I also got to find a box to put these in. That way I could put them up on my shelf until I get ready to reassemble them. And these are labeled. The intake side is going to have an eye on it, and the exhaust side is not. So that's how you judge that. Push rods. I believe the exhaust push rods are longer than the intake push rods just because of the angle that they're at. They have to be able to get to the exhaust valves. So that's another thing to note. You can swap the push rods from side to side. You just got to make sure you put the longer push rods at the bottom and shorter push rods on the intake side and the long ones on the exhaust side. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go. I'm going to get these all pulled off. I got some regular car reviews on the YouTube, so I'm going to listen to that while I get those all pulled out. Once I get the cylinder head, these ready to be pulled, we'll be good to go. Also, another note is you theoretically could pull the heads without pulling the rockers off. The head bolts are right down here and a couple on the top. So you don't have to necessarily pull these off. I just like doing that because I don't want to risk spinning these push rods. I'm going to be reusing them. I just want to throw that in there. And I think before I put the engine back in the truck, right before I put the engine in the truck, I think that's when I'm going to torque these down I'll put these on and torque them down. That way it'll be easy to get in and out of the house. Because this engine's pretty heavy, and it's only me, so it was a pain to get in the house. So I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and get these off for you. At least the rockers off and the push rods out, and I'll be right back when getting ready to pop these head bolts out. So see y'all in a little bit. Alright, I'm just going to interject this in the middle of the clips. But this is what I mean by push rod length. So this push rod is for the intake, so it will sit up here. Roughly. Or actually up here. It'll sit up here. And it's that long. And this one is the exhaust push rod, so that will sit right over here. In that first original hole. And so it's that long. And as you can see, they are two completely different lengths. So just want to make sure you get you know that way when you put them up to either reuse later on after you clean them out, because I would recommend cleaning these out, especially if the motor's been sitting for a while like this one has, or if you go to replace them, you got to make sure the intake valve push rods are shorter than the exhaust push rods. So make sure you keep that noted. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of these all pulled out. Same thing with that side. That side's a little harder to film on because I don't have much space over here. So this is it's gonna be the side I'm gonna probably film on. And once I get that down, I'll pull these head bolts off. The 10 mil head bolts off. These are 10 mils. I'm gonna do the same thing. Just walk from side to side until you get to the middle. And then I'll get to the main bolts where, you know, those are a little different. Not too much, but a little bit different. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get back to what I'm doing. Alright, so I got the valve train off pretty much. So all the valves are shut. And I already took a look, but I want to let y'all see. If I line the camera up with all the valves, those are all good. And those are all good. On this side, same story. Those all line up pretty well. And this one, those all line up pretty well too. So, I mean, I guess it is possible that all 16 valves could be dropped, but just by looking at that, all the valve heights are the same. So I'm pretty sure I have no issues with any valve any of the valve seats. So that's good. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull these cylinder head bolts off. I think those are 15s. Which one is it? Is it this one? Oh, that's 14. So this is a 15 right here. Yeah, so they're all 15 mils. Pretty much the same thing as these. You're going to want to start from the sides, from the ends, and work your way in. So I'm actually probably going to start this one. And then I'm going to go from here, down to here, up, down, up. You know, I will do that and work my way around until I get to the middle. You want to do it that way you can prevent accidentally warping a cylinder head, because this is a big piece of aluminum. And it is possible to warp them. I already pulled the little 10 mils out. Those aren't under much strain. These bigger bolts are on quite a bit more strain. I think it's 45 foot-pounds plus an extra 90 degrees, which I think works out to about 95-ish foot-pounds. So these are probably going to be quite a bit tighter. And pulling these off, you might hear the bolt squeak and pop and whatnot. That's completely normal. That's just the tension getting released off the bolt as you turn them. That's also why you don't want to reuse head bolts, because when you tighten them up and loosen them again, they tend to stretch. And they lay in chains, so when you try to reuse them again, you either break the bolt off by accident, but more than likely the clamping force, that's the word I'm looking for, it gets much lower. I'm going to do that to both cylinder heads. And that'll be the heads off. I'm not really worried about getting too much dirt in there because I'm going to clean everything off. But you want to do what you can to prevent much dirt. I already vacuumed everything off, all the heavy stuff that would fall, so I'm not too worried about it. Over in here, I'm not worried about it at all because I'm changing out the oil pan to a rear sump pan, and I'm also changing the oil pump and the pickup tube, so I'm not worried about those at all. And I'm gonna put a new timing chain on it later on. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get these off. When you get the cylinder heads off, you want to find places to kind of pry up on the side because there are little dowel pins around here. I think there's like 2 or 3 of them on these heads. So you want to use a little like pry bar to get underneath and kind of pry. Right here probably a good spot, like right above the engine block and below this ear right here. Same thing back down here. And over in front, you got this spot right here. And another little spot right here, right above the seam, to get a pry bar in and pop the head off. So yeah, I'm gonna go and get that done, and I'll come back once I get these cylinder heads off. So see y'all in a bit. Alrighty, so I got the passenger side cylinder head off, and I'll take a look at the cylinder head in a minute. I just threw it over there because it's kind of cumbersome. And I kind of need the room. I got my lawnmower moved out of the way, so I'll be able to walk by to put the heads on the shelf, which I might have to adjust that, but do that in a minute. But anyway, look at inside the combustion chamber. Everything looks like it how I would expect it. No crap built up. Well, I mean, there's a little bit of carbon built up, but nothing out of the ordinary. Cross hatching looks pretty good. Only see no issues on that part. Like I said, I think this is owned by someone who loved the car and he took care of it up until it got up until they decided to run into the back of a truck or something like that. I do got some sludge right here that I probably got to clean up and vacuum out. Probably build up from it sitting in junkyard for who knows how long. There was a little bit of coolant that spilled out of the cylinder head. I wiped it off my floor already, but it was nice and bright and pink. A little bit of buildup from that though, but no big deal. Oil that came out of it looked relatively clean. Old and used, but still relatively clean. These are MLS head gaskets that these engines use, and this one looks pretty good. I don't really see anything going on with that, other than it's really on there, but these are the dowels I'm talking about. It looks like the 2 up the top, and yeah, and then these are the MDS. The retainers for the lifters. The MDS has new retainers, and the LS engines that you know for the Chevy guys. These serve the same function as those buckets. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pull this head gasket off. It's not really wanting to come out too easily, at least not by one hand. It's really on these dowels. So there's that one, and then there's this one. And that is the head gasket. Looks pretty good. And the sealing surface looks pretty good. That will clean up pretty good. I got my little plastic Rolex disc to take care of that. I got new head gaskets that came with the kit. Oh, by the way, just one thing. When you take these heads out, I recommend keeping one head bolt loosely threaded in there. That way, whatever you use to take the head off. This one I was able to kind of rock it off by hand, and it came out relatively easy. But if you have to like pry on the head to get it off, because these gaskets do like to stick pretty good, especially if it's an older engine. Those composite gaskets like to really stick. You might need to use the pry bar to kind of pry it up a little bit. I recommend just loosely putting one of the cylinder bolts in. That way the head doesn't come flying off on you. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pop this cylinder head off. Like I said, I got my breaker bar. I had to use a pipe just to get some extra leverage, mainly because I'm wearing shop approved shoes. But I also don't want to like blow my arm out, because once you finally get these pop loose, they can go. They can spring on you. And using the longer breaker bar is safer, because you don't have to put as much tension on to do the same thing. Anyway, that's enough of me talking. I'm going to pull this head off. Then I'm going to have it raised at the top dead center. It should be close to that, but I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, let me go ahead and get those done. Alright, so I got the both cylinder heads off. I also did a little bit of spring cleaning on it. I got most of this schmoo out. All this is just like a little pocket. I guess coolant likes to collect for some reason. It's kind of weird, but there's no like water jacket in there. I'm gonna probably grab some brake cleaner or something to clean all that out a little bit better. Overall, I'm not really worried about that. I also got most of the little coolant out of these water jackets too, because they did drain the block like they're supposed to at the junkyard I got this from. But all 8 cylinders look pretty good. Only one that might be slightly suspicious is this one. Now the streaking is from me. Put my hands in there. But there is a little bit of lines on there. Don't know what that's from. I don't think it's really going to matter, especially at this level. Everything turns over nicely. All the other cylinders look fine. I don't really see no wear or anything like that, or where that would indicate, there's a major problem with anything. So that's good. And I got it raised to top dead center. There's one thing to know on these Hemis, or at least the pre-Eagle Hemis. They do have a pretty good dome on the pistons. Just because the way the cylinder heads look, which I got them both over here. As you see, it's kind of like a weird egg shape rather than like an actual circle. But yeah, so these are the pre-Eagle heads are kind of like an open chamber, which is why they need the bigger dome on the cylinder on the pistons. But looking at the cylinder heads, I do not see. There's a little bit like where the coolant was built up. That's got to be cleaned out. But there's no pitting or anything where the sealing surfaces is. So these are definitely good heads. I don't see anything going on with the valve seats. A little bit of a yuck right here, but that's probably from valve stem seal. I believe this is one of the ones that did have oil inside the spark plug well. So when I do this, when I put the better valve springs on it, these are going to be replaced anyway. The valve seals and all that. I believe the rebuild kit does come with those. Not the rebuild kit, the MDS delete kit does come with those. If not, I'll have to buy them. This side's more or less the same, so both sides are burning relatively evenly. So cylinder heads are good. I'm going to clean them out a little bit with probably a little bit of wire brush and whatnot. This one's going to drip in a little coolant. I got to be careful with that. But yeah, so now I'm going to pull these lifters out. Then since I'm probably going to reuse the micro squirt that's in the truck, I'm probably not going to upgrade to Mega Squirt 3 or anything like that, just because it's a basic truck, so I mainly need the motor just to be able to run. So I'm probably just going to reuse the micro squirt and rebuild the harness. I had to get a couple adapters for the coils, but that's beside the point. But I had to run this in wasted spark. The 318, of course, I was distributor drive, so I just had to get the coil to plug in the Mega Squirt to talk to the coil using a little ignition control module. I had to get 8 of those now for this. They sell a box that has like the 4 drivers in there. Actually, I might just only need the one now that I think about it, since this is going to be wasted spark. But anyway, what I have to do is I have to set to where I'm going to call them sister cylinders. So in this case, it would be 1 and 6. The ones that are going to be at top dead center at the same time are lit off together. So this one will be like, say this is going to be in the power stroke. This one's going to be in the exhaust stroke. if I was running MS3 Gold or Terminator X or things on the fuel tech stuff and Howl tech stuff, I won't have to worry about this. I just plug the ECU into each and coil pack. There'll be a driver for each coil pack, but the Micro Squirt or Micro Squirt doesn't support that since it's a much more budget friendly system. I have to do it differently. So anyway, I had to. I'm gonna write down which cylinders get paired together just by turning the crank over, see which one's coming up at the same time, and that'll be that part of it. And then there'll be some things in the settings I have to do. One of these days I might upgrade to one of the fancier computers. Right now I'm just trying to get the struck running. That way I can take the Datsun off the road. That way I get that thing, the suspension worked on that thing. But anyway, I'm going to do that off camera. That's something that may or may not be useful for y'all. When I wire everything back up, when I wire everything up, I'll let you know about that. I'm just going to write those down, take a picture of it. That way I know where I have to worry about it. But anyway, when I come back, I'm gonna pull this oil pump off. It's just these 4 bolts in the front and a little 10 mil bolt that holds the pickup. I'm not using the front sump. I'm not using the front sump, so I'm not going to use this pickup. I'm just going to let that fall into the oil pan. I'm not going to worry about that. I'll get that out when I swap pans over, which I'm debating on what I'm going to do with that. But anyway, once you get these bolts out, this is going to twist a little bit. I mean, this drill bit that's holding the timing chain tensioner up might get in the way, but might be just got to twist up enough to where I get a little 10 mil wrench in there to loosen up the bolt. That way I can spin it out. Then I'll pop that off, and I'll be able to pop this pump out and chuck this in the trash can because I'm not using this pump. Then I can get this bolt off for the timing gear. We'll pull the cam retainer off and be able to pull the cam out. I'm also going to pull these lifters out too. I believe these are 8s that hold these bolts in, and it looks like they're captured bolts, so these bolts aren't just going to fall out. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do all that, and I'll let you know when I get done. I'm going to throw all these rags away too. So I'll see you on a little bit. Alright, so I put all the lifters out, and I have also inspected them, and none of them have any issues, which is phenomenal. I figured it'd be one that might be a little worn out because it's a Hemi. But yeah, I don't see any issues with any of these. With that being said, I'm sure y'all see that some of these lifters aren't the same. Basically, these lifters without any holes are just regular lifters. These ones with the holes are the MDS lifters. I'm not exactly sure how they work. I think what it is with the absence of oil pressure, when these things turn on or off or whatnot, it bypasses the oil or stops feeding them oil. The lifters will collapse under the tension of the valves, and it will essentially deactivate those cylinders. And these are exactly how I pull them out of the engine. Now, when you pull these out, these trays are more likely going to come out on their own. You have to manually pull the lifters out, unlike a lot of the LS baskets. They tend to hold on to the lifters a little bit better. Either way, these are primarily there to keep the lifters from spinning around on the camshaft, but that's beside the point. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, anyway, usually when these start to wear out, they get a little bit of play in the ball, and I don't see any of that. There's also no pitting on the ball too, or on the wheel. That's what I meant to say. So these lifters are all good. Kind of shame I'm not using them, but I'm not using the MDS system, and 90% of the camshafts that get out there are incompatible with the MDS system. Mainly because reasons. I think the lift is higher than what the collapsible rate of the lifter is anyway. So even if you turn the MDS on, it will still activate the cylinders. Which, speaking of that, seems kind of interesting how they did that. Looks like they deactivated 2 outside cylinders and 2 inside cylinders. At first, that seemed a little weird to me, but I'm just like, but after thinking about it, it's like that does make sense because they do it that way to keep the vibrations down when those cylinders deactivate because a V8's balanced a certain way. Well, a cross plane V8 like this one is balanced a certain way, so 8 cylinders at 90 degrees from each other. So I guess doing it this way, where 2 outside cylinders are deactivated and 2 inside cylinders are, it'll make it run closer to like how a 4-cylinder would, or inline 4-cylinder would. So I guess it does make sense. Anyway, so the NDS kit comes with new lifters. I got a pretty good set of pretty good ones to put in here. So now I'm just gonna pop this cam stuff off. Well, first I'm gonna write down those sister cylinders, then I'm gonna pop this cam stuff out and pop the cam out, and I should be done for today. Because I really can't do anything until I get everything cleaned up and I get the valve springs for the cylinder heads. But in the meantime, I'm going to get everything torn out the rest of the way, minus the oil pan. I want to keep that on there just so I don't have to worry about stuff falling onto my floor. That's probably the very last thing I'm going to put on besides the flywheel and the clutch. But yeah, so see y'all in a little bit once I get ready to pull this cam out. Alrighty, so I'm getting ready to pull this camshaft out. It's no big deal. I already popped the oil pump off. It's just these 4 bolts right here and a little bolt for the oil to pick up. This kind of got stuck on me, so I had to take like a pry bar and just kind of like jam it off. Just be aware. Normally, if you're doing this for like a Camaro, not Camaro, like a Charger or Challenger or whatnot, you wouldn't have to mess with this, but or you wouldn't have to go any further than what I'm getting ready to do. But because I'm converting it, putting this in a truck that this was never intended to be in, I'm gonna turn this light on real quick. I had to do some modifications. That is taking this oil pan off, putting the rear sump pan on, which requires me to change the pickup to pick up near the back of the engine rather than the front. I'll get that. I'll let you know about that when that time comes. It's a 15 mil bolt for the camshaft. It's relatively easy to get off. I ended up taking the pry bar, putting it on the back of the flywheel with the teeth in it to hold it at top dead center. And I used my breaker bar with the 15 mil socket to pop it loose, and I just ran it out the rest of the way with the impact. Then there's 3 bolts to hold it's multiple purposes. It's the camshaft retaining plate, but it also has a little oil slinger for the timing chain, and it also integrates the tensioner for the timing chain. It's very similar to the one I put on the Dakota when I did the 318 build. This thing right here. You just gotta pry that guide back and stick something in there to keep the tension off the chain. So you take the chain off, and everything just kind of like just falls. Not won't say falls off, but it kind of just rocks right off. This even comes off relatively easy, but I'm leaving that on because I need to take it off because I'm not replacing the gears. I'm just changing the chain. The teeth of these gears are pretty good. But if you look at I don't have the sprocket on for here. It's in the box already, but if you look on the timing gears, there's a dot on this one, and it's a little line on the one to go for the camshaft. They face opposite each other, so normally you will line the dot top on like a traditional small block, pretty much any of the ones. But on this one, camshaft gear will be at 12 o'clock, and crankshaft gear will be at 6 o'clock. So they face away from each other for it to be at top dead center. Just want to throw that in there real quick in case you're just watching this to do timing set. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this crankshaft out. I took one of the head bolts in there since I don't really care about this camshaft. I'm sorry. I don't really care about the threads. I got in there like 1 or 2 threads. Not the exact same thread pitch, but it should be enough to kind of give me enough leverage to pull it out. Or it came out a little bit on its own. So Once I get it out enough, I'll be able to grab hold of the camshaft, no problem, and be able to pull it out. Already, I'm pretty pleased with what I see. I don't really see no wear on it. Just this little line right here, probably where they stopped machining it from the factory. But anyway, when you pull this camshaft out, you want to be very careful not to nick the cam bearings inside of there. Because the camshaft is pretty hard. The cam bearings are pretty soft. So just be very careful. A little bit of bang, clanking, it's normal. You just don't want to like slam anything one way or the other. So I just want to give you that that little FYI. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull the rest this camshaft the rest of the way out, and I'll pretty much be done with this video. I'll take my thumbnail picture and upload it. Then, like I said, I'm gonna throw the timing cover stuff at the end of this, just because I feel like it'd be better suited for a longer video. Because that was only like a 5-minute video, it would be kind of pointless to watch. And let me go ahead and get this done, and I'll be back when get the camshaft pulled out and everything all cleaned up. I'll see y'all in a bit. Alright, so I got the camshaft out, and I'm going to turn the light on real quick. And it actually looks phenomenal. I have no problem sticking this back into another engine and running it. It looks like this is one little groove right here. Probably had a little something going on in the oil floating around in the oil, but I can't catch my finger on that. Everything else just looks like miles. Low miles at that. One thing I noticed with this camshaft is that they're tapered from back to front, so it's narrower in the back as it is in the front. A lot of cam manufacturers does that, but this is the first time I've seen it more pronounced on an engine. Like a small block Chevy, sometimes they do that, but you know, you can't really see it. But this one you definitely see from the biggest one right here down to the smallest one right there. So there's no way to put this in backwards, because that physically won't fit past, I think, the second cam bearing. Speaking of the cam bearings, I know memes say not to look at them, but they're cam bearings that are like my Achilles heel right now, because that's what blew up in the truck. And the motor I was going to stick in the wagon back in the day. That's what killed that motor. But these cam bearings look fine. You can tell there's a bit of miles on them, but I'm probably going to upgrade. Instead of using 520 oil, I'm probably going to use 530, 1030. Just because that's what the Valvoline VR1 is in. I think that's the thinnest oil they offer for that oil. I'm going to run that for at least to the first oil change, so I'll switch to a regular full synthetic. Just so when the camshaft and lifters and all that break in again, I have all the extra additives in there. But anyway, I'll deal with that later on. But yeah, I have no problem sticking this. I would have no problem sticking this camshaft in the new engine. Just give it a little polish and it'll be great. So this is definitely a good builder's engine. There's only two little things on this engine that seem kind of problematic, which isn't really a problem at all. Just this a little bit right here, but I can't catch my finger on that. Can't even feel it. Can't feel that. And all the lifters roll fine. All the cylinders look fine. The heads are fine. The oil pump seemed fine, but like I said, I'm upgrading that to a bigger one. Yeah. I'm spinning it over. I don't hear no noises. Nothing like a rod knock or anything like that. Hopefully not. Knock on cast iron. But yeah. So this is definitely a good builder's engine. So the junkyard search has definitely paid off. I'm ecstatic about that. Alrighty. Well, that's gonna be the end of this video. You don't know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. And stay tuned. I will have this engine up and running, or at least installed in the truck very soon. I'm gonna have some videos done on the Datsun. I got some suspension work I want to do on that. There'll be work I got to do, valve covers on that, valve cover gaskets on that, which I may or may not actually record, honestly. But yeah. I may or may not sell this camshaft with the lifters, since the lifters and camshaft seem absolutely fine. So, you know, I'll see y'all in the next video. What's up, y'all? Last time on my channel, I did a video about pulling the intake off of this engine, as well as one of the valve covers, the wire harness, and I started pulling out the solenoids for the MDS. It turns out that some people say you don't need to pull the solenoids out. As long as you keep them unplugged, you should be fine. But I don't want to run into any issues, so I did pull them out just to make sure. And I also pulled the headers off. Believe it or not, they all the bolts came out pretty much. These headers do tend to crack and or break the studs. I did have one stud break, and it was for this hole right here. But I was able to drill it out and hammer a torque spit in there, and I spin it off with my impact. Surprisingly, it worked fine, and I didn't damage the head, so I'm happy about that. Anyway, I just stick the intake back on it. That way, it's out of my way. But I think today I'm gonna pull the water pump, timing cover, and harmonic balancer off, just so I can kind of get going, because I do have the rest of the MDS kit on the way, minus the camshaft. I still have to get a camshaft. Camshaft I originally tried ordering is on back order to like mid April. So, and I need this motor running as soon as I can. So I'm looking at different options for camshafts. I might having to spend a little bit more on a similar camshaft from a different manufacturer. No big deal. Probably order that on my next paycheck. Anyway, I'm going to start pulling this harmonic balancer off, because that's going to be the hardest thing about this whole shebang. I picked out a socket. I forget where I put it. Okay, it's right here. It's a 21 mil. Well, that seems to work to fit the best. And it's got an impact socket. I'm going to use my impact to draw this off. And then I got a 3-claw puller that should be able to go in here and pull it out. I got my electric impact in here. I don't have an air compressor, or at least not big enough one to run an impact. And even then, the impact I had is out my job, and it needs to be rebuilt. I might do a video on that later on. Stay tuned. Be interesting. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and plug this in, get this buzzed out, and I'll let you know what happens when I get the harmonic balancer pulled off. So see y'all in a bit. Alright, so I got the 3-claw puller on there. I got it precariously on there. That's about the best way I could pull it, maybe. I don't like, because it's not really on the pulley, but you know, if it works, it works. It's only got to really work once. So anyway, I'm going to pull it off, and we'll see how it works. If not, I'll have to try again some other way. See you on set. Alright, so I got the pulley off. I had to put a bunch cord around through it, around the water pump and up into on the bypass bolts, just because it was bottoming out against the pulley is bottoming out against the bottom of the washer for the crank bolt, and this is on there. There's no way to get that off. So I am doing that, and it came out relatively easy. On it pretty tight, but it came out relatively easy. That's pretty much the hardest part of this. Now everything else is really just buzzing the bolts off. I just gotta keep knowing that some bolts are a little bit longer than others. So you gotta make sure those are go in the right order. And of course, some bolts are studs, some bolts are not. And you got the bolts are on the bottom of the oil pan I gotta take off. And then this is on there pretty good. So I want to find my flat bar to pry it off in some spots, because there's a spot right here you got to use to pry against, and I think there's a identical one on the other side. Just kind of walk it back and forth, and this thing will eventually come off. I think I'm gonna leave the water pump attached to it, just because I think it'll be easier that way. I'm just going to definitely pull this crank sensor off. I pulled this out previously just to see if it was actually a sensor, not a solenoid. And it's a sensor. This is not a VVT motor. I guess they started doing that with the 6.1 liters. But the 5.7 I don't think got it up until I think 2009 when they switched over to the, I guess some people call it the 4th gen Hemi, but it's not really. But anyway, we'll go ahead and start busting these bolts off. This is going to be a quick video. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done for you. I'll be right back when I get all that off. Alrighty, so I got the water pump off. It was not that big of a deal. Like I said, all these bolts are different. A lot of these bolts are different sizes or types. So what you do is you just leave the bolts in where they go. More than likely going to change that water pump out, just because I don't know the history on it, and there is some crusty stuff in there. It's probably just from the coolant sitting around for who knows how long, and the water part of the coolant just evaporated away and left deposits. I'm going to clean it up anyway, no big deal. But generally, still looks pretty clean in there. I'm going to turn the light on. Generally, still looks pretty clean in there. Nothing screaming or anything like that. It's just, a couple of deposits in the spots. Not a big deal. I'm going to wipe some of this liquid off. I'm going to pull this timing cover off, or at least start to. Some of the water pump bolts are structural, so they hold both the water pump and timing cover on. I think those are the real long ones, and the short ones will just hold the water pump on to the timing cover. And we got this big bolt right up here, which doesn't go to anything, so that one can stay. I got all these down here. And a couple that go across the oil pan. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that go on the oil pan, and a couple around the oil pump area. And that might be it, because I think the water pump holds the upper half of it on. So I'll buzz those off, then we'll probably grab one of these longer bolts and put them in. That way I could pry on it without having to worry about the timing cover falling down on the ground. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get that all done. And I'll be right back when I get ready to pull this thing off. Alright, so I got the timing cover off. The gas kind of stuck to the lower part of the gas. Kind of got stuck into the oil pan. Looks like it got pinched. No big deal, because I'm going to remove that. That definitely looks like a stock oil pump. So that's going to have to be upgraded, because that's the biggest Achilles heel of these engines. Especially if there's a lot of idle time. Looking in there, I don't really see anything going wrong. Looks all pretty clean, but of course I want to switch this all out to a rear sump pan. Timing chain still looks good, though I'm probably replace this timing chain just for cheap insurance. The gears themselves should be okay. And there's the camshaft gear. So yeah, I think the last thing I'm gonna do is take like a screw or a drill bit or something like that to decompress this tensioner. I'm gonna stick match these holes up. I'm gonna stick like a pin or something like that through there. That way, you take the tension off the timing chain. Like I said, this is about as far as I'm gonna take it on this engine. Just because I don't have anything yet. That's supposed to be coming tomorrow in the mail. So, and even then, I still gotta get the camshaft. But yeah, that's pretty much how you take it off. I'm just gonna take some of these bolts off, stick them to the timing cover, which I have laying over there. I gotta get that cleaned up, put a new seal in it. And yeah. So, well, anyway, about this oil pump, right? Like I said, these are the Achilles heels of the engines. When you run the engine down the highway, like 2,200 RPMs, no big deal. It's just when the engine's idling for a long time, these don't pump enough volume. And the upgraded oil pumps, they're a little bit thicker. And I think they're running at a slightly higher pressure too. So that puts more volume at idle. Of course, all through the whole thing, but mainly at idle. That way, you don't have to worry about the rollers or the lifters or anything eating themselves alive due to lack of oil. So yeah, that's probably one of the most important mods to do on these engines. And if you're just driving it around, I would recommend at least swapping out the oil pump. Anyway, I'm going to end the video off here. I'm going to take this thumbnail picture, and I'll see y'all in the next video where hopefully I'll do other things. Only other thing I might do, which will be off camera, will be pulling these motor mounts off. It's just 4 bolts around here, and those should drop off since the swap mounts I have are much different than these. Should take this oil filter off, but I'm gonna leave that just because reasons. And yeah, so I'll see y'all in the next video.